Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the Baker Act and trying on your own to secure your loved one's release. So every once in a while I get somebody who calls who thinks that they can do this themselves. And I appreciate that. And as my late father told me, nobody wants to hire a lawyer and they certainly don't want to give you money. So I appreciate the fact that you might want to try this yourself. Let me give you a couple of reasons why I think that is not only a recipe for disaster, but a very dangerous thing to do. First of all, I don't know if you can see this. This is the Baker Act statute here. Baker Act. It is, I don't know, 138 pages long. 138 pages. And I'm going to tell you, if I've read this once, I've read it 100 times. And every time I read it, I learn something new about it. And every time we get a case comes in that's a little bit different, that has a variation, a twist in the facts, I go in there and I learn something new about it. And the icing on the cake, about 6-7 months ago, in 2024, they made a bunch of changes to the statute, as if it wasn't complicated and convoluted enough. They made a bunch of changes to it, which we're still figuring out as we go. And so I think that unless you have, and this doesn't necessarily just apply to non-lawyers, I'm talking about lawyers too. Trying to figure this out on the fly, I think it's very dangerous, okay? Because from some of the other content I've put out there and talked about the Baker Act, this is the state detaining a loved one. Okay, they are a temporary ward of the state and they can do whatever they like with your loved one, and nobody knows they're there, and as a general rule, you can't sue them, so they don't care. And so trying to handle this thing on your own, I think, is completely ridiculous. And if you're not a lawyer, you cannot actually represent somebody else who's stuck in the facility. Why? Because it's called the unlicensed practice of law. And it's a crime here in Florida to actually try and represent somebody else in a legal proceeding. And so not only is it extremely complicated to try and do it yourself, but arguably it's illegal. You can't do it. You need a lawyer to go in there and file something on your loved one's behalf. Now they could, I guess in theory, represent themselves, but how are they going to get access to the courts? How are they going to draft their own petition? I mean, they just simply can't. They've been cut off from the entire world. You're lucky if you even get a phone call from them. And certainly very lucky if you can get them on the phone by calling the facility. So you need a lawyer to handle these things. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because we had a family that's been calling us now for 2 weeks. And guess what happened? The facility went to court and they get a court order to keep their loved one for, I think, another 30 days. Okay? And I guess sounds like the public defender got appointed, for the hearing. And as I've said before, look, I'm a big fan of the public defender's office. One of my associates is a former public defender, and I hired him specifically because he was a public defender. But when we go to court, I have at least several days to prepare, and I have one case on the docket. Public defender goes to court, they probably have 20, 25, 30 cases on the docket, and it's just impossible for them to prepare. It's just impossible, and it's not fair, but that's the way the system is. And so, relying on the public defender, I think, and hoping that you're going to get a great result, I think it's not fair to the public defender, and it's not fair to your loved one. It just simply isn't. And so I think that when you either try to handle this yourself or you don't do what needs to be done and take action immediately, and I'm a big fan of fighting immediately to get your loved one out, unfortunately, these are the types of things that can handle. And now, my understanding is that the family decided to go to court, they filed something, and of course the judge just dismissed it. No hearing, no opportunity to present evidence. It's just been dismissed by the court. Why? Because the court's already resolved this issue, and courts have hundreds and hundreds of cases on the docket, and they're not going back to take a look at yours, especially when you had a lawyer there, albeit the public defender. And so I feel like I sound like a broken record, but I just cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get somebody involved in your case, a lawyer that knows what they're doing, and to do it quickly and fight to get your loved one out, because otherwise disasters like this happen. And so, look, if we were hired, could we get the loved one out? Probably, but it's going to take a little bit longer, because now I'm asking the court to take another look at this thing. And sometimes the courts will, and sometimes they won't. Sometimes there's a plan B that we can create and come up with to get your loved one out. But it's really hard to unring that bell, right? The train has already left the station. And so please, I have a ton of resources. I put out one of these videos almost every day of the year. There's a book on the Baker Act attorney's website. You can call the office. You can speak to Brittany or Rachel in intake. You can schedule a consult with me or one of the other 2 lawyers in the office. We're here to help you. But please, don't try and handle this yourself. I think it is a disaster waiting to happen, as it did in this case. So I wanted to share that with you. I appreciate you tuning in. Please, if you can, I love the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Take care. Bye-bye.